What up, chap? Today, I'm going to react to Actual Justice Warrior. Let's go.
Every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like Wife that participate in these raids. The violence that the Palestinians engage in an act of resistance against this illegal occupying force is literally legal, definitionally legal. Okay? It's just the truth. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like Wife that participate in these raids.
So once again, Jank's nephew has pulled a Jank's nephew, and this time he's decided to encourage people out there in his audience to strike out against Ethan Klein's wife. That's what he means by even if a former podcaster's wife participated in this, and it's absolutely disgusting. And now we're seeing the pattern where obviously he knew exactly what he was saying, but now suddenly he's backtracking, trying to move off of it, and trying to shift the conversation and claiming that he was just taken out of context in that particular clip. And this is what we're going to talk about today. The absolute madness of one of the biggest political streamers on Twitch, somebody who is backed up by mainstream media and the corporation that is Twitch, issuing threats and encouraging violence against people he disagrees with, marginally, by the way, on theinternet.com, and how absolutely insane this absolutely is. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Because I don't watch your stream that much. I only
in that
see
waiting
like
room. Bro, that's crazy. Do you see the resemblance?
What?
You're this guy from Beetlejuice. In this photo, you have like the same coat and shit.
Yeah. That's you are a comedian.
I sure am, buddy. I see you laughing. All right, anyway.
So look, there is a long history between Ethan Klein of H3H3 Productions and Jank's nephew of being Cenk Uyghur's nephew, and we talked about it in multiple different videos on this channel. And the long and short of it is that Ethan used to host a show with Jank's nephew. It was a political show.
So I've already talked about this clip.
Jank's nephew as if he was some kind of an expert. This was a terrible decision on Ethan Klein's part, and it all came to a head.
I actually reacted to it live, and it was really interesting. It was their debate was very interesting.
October 7th, when they did a Leftovers episode where Ethan started to realize that Jank's nephew was
I reacted to it on Kick, though.
On board with terrorist organizations and people who directly praise terrorists. Now, there is a misinformed narrative out there that Ethan Klein went ultra-Zionist or something of the sort. Nothing could be further from the truth. We've shown you these clips time and time again. Anybody can watch the Leftovers episode in full. It will be linked in the description. But needless to say, for the first 2.5 hours, they were 100% in agreement. Ethan Klein was condemning every random person that they brought up and had clips of that was saying something bad about Arabs post-October 7th. And then he asked Jank's nephew, his friend of years, to condemn people who were endorsing the terrorist attacks like the Music Festival massacre, and of course attacking and killing any Israeli at any point in time ever, and Jank's nephew refused.
Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from the settlers. This is a reality, and that is precisely the reason why they have to exist under endless occupation in the West Bank.
And that's why I say, if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable. Yeah. But let's not obfuscate, okay? I understand what you're saying, but this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand, and there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlement.
This is where the famous baby settlers clip comes in.
It's a super chat.
Did the Palestinians actually take civilian hostage, or is that fake news? I don't care.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he agrees with him, so let's just...
go on.
Yeah, I mean, that specifically is pretty black and white. But then the question becomes, well, if there's a baby in the home, what do you do with it? If you forcibly remove it, if you like pick up the baby, even if it's just to move it somewhere else, that's like, I don't know, that's like putting your hands on a baby that isn't yours. Is that violence against that baby? I think so, yeah. Even if it's just like peacefully moving it, that's still like kind of violent, I feel like, because you're like evicting a baby. But anyway, I don't think it's like wrong though to do that, as long as you don't hurt the baby. Okay, evicting a baby is violence on that baby, but like I don't know what else to tell you. Like if it's a Palestinian home and it's seized by occupiers and they move in and like they move a family into it, I think you have a right as that Palestinian to take your fucking house back. Like what are we talking about, dude? What are we talking about? Like if there's a baby in it, move the baby, get it to a safe place if they don't take it with them. But like you have every right to take your home back if somebody steals it from you without compensation. That's crazy. That's crazy. What the fuck are we talking about?
Like imagine, like if Germany, let's say Germany, that's him. Right?
I think so. And not that it matters.
United States, and they said, you know what, Cincinnati, Ohio is our ancestral home, and everyone knows that's blatantly false. But they take your home, they murder your grandma, they bulldoze like your neighbor's house. Are those people civilians there? No, they're occupiers, and those are criminals. That is, there are no civilians there. And
So
according to Second Thought, he says that every Israeli is an occupier, and there are no citizens there.
I know, but
well, here's one.
No, of course there are examples of this. It's just entirely and utterly inconsequential, and I 100% stand by that.
It's not. He's an influential man. When you're expressing these kinds of...
Okay, let's walk through that. What do you think is the negative consequence of this? Do you think that people are going to see this and go, oh, I should go to...
So should I not care about it?
I think that if you look at the reality, and I know you recognize it, a YouTuber saying this kind of thing and spending any time or any effort on this, when your moral position is clear, when mine is clear, spending any time on this whatsoever to be like, we got to clean up our own homes here, deviates from the actual message that must be unflinching. The message is that these violent means of ensuring that the occupation continues is going to inevitably lead to more violence that Israelis will be subjected to as well.
And of course, when Jenk's nephew refused to condemn Second Thought for saying everybody in Israel is...
Like, what is incorrect about that? If the occupation continues, then violence is going to be inevitable because you're inflicting it on a population of people. We're talking about tens of thousands of victims yearly for decades, and each person is a potential radical. It's like if you blow up someone's grandma with a bomb, then they're gonna stop at nothing to harm you. And it's the same with evicting them from their homes.
It's okay
of course,
to be killed because
violence is going to happen when you're doing that because a certain percentage of them will do violence in retaliation. So if you do it to thousands of people, then you're bound to get violent retaliation.
And
That's
Ethan
just
Klein
how
being
it
really
fucking
frustrated
works.
that Jenk's
Stop
nephew
doing
would not
it.
condemn these radical words. And of course, this led to Ethan doing an investigation into Jenk's nephew, looking into his streams and all his other posts, and realizing that the reason why he won't condemn his friends that are endorsing terrorist actions is because Jenk's nephew himself endorses terrorist actions. He likes terrorism. That's what he discovered. Now look, there's so much more that we covered on this channel related to this particular beef. We have the content nuke from Ethan Klein. We also have Jenk's nephew and his orbiters encouraging people to call in false
This
CPS
is what
complaints
they're
to
telling
Ethan Klein,
people.
sending him human skulls, which is obviously a death threat, and all these different various ways that they targeted Ethan.
That was proven to be fake. That was basically proven. Look. Here's what happened. They brought receipts. There were literally receipts. There's a website that sells real human bones. And they ain't cheap. Okay, they're thousands of dollars. And apparently, allegedly, around the same time that Ethan Klein was mailed a human remains, a skull. Okay, it was confirmed that these body parts came from this website. I believe it was a skull and like a femur or something. And anyway, it doesn't really matter what it was. It was a skull and something else. Ethan is claiming that the person that sent them must have bought the skull and the thing and then returned them. But that's unlikely. Because so what Ethan claims happened is that because here's what we know. We know that the bones were sent from this website, and we also know that they were returned. They were not only refunded, but the bones were returned because the listing is back up, I'm pretty sure. So Ethan is saying that somebody bought them, and then he called the FBI, and the FBI took the bones, and then the FBI returned them to the online merchant. Like, I don't know about that. That sounds kind of weird. Like, why would the FBI do that? But anyway, I think it's a lot more likely that they were returned by Ethan Klein. Ethan, why did you do that? Why would you return them if it wasn't your money? if you weren't trying to get a
his
refund?
family, issued them death threats, and all the problems that has caused in Ethan's life.
I don't
Again,
know.
based on what is 5% disagreement. And remember, Ethan and Jenks' nephew did a debate after much of this where they discussed their issues.
So,
and Ethan
like, I
conceded.
don't even know why you would bring that up, bro. Like, this guy literally brought it up. Listen,
Also have
listen.
Jenks' nephew and his orbiters encouraging people to call in false CPS complaints to Ethan Klein, sending him human skulls, which is obviously a death
Yeah.
threat, and all
Yeah.
these different various ways that
Yeah,
they targeted
yeah,
Ethan, his
Hassan
wife,
did that.
and his family, issued them death threats, and all the problems that has caused in Ethan's life.
What-
Again,
what else
whilst
was he
likes
mentioning
terrorism,
here?
That's what he discovered. Now, look, there's so much more that we covered on this channel related to this particular beef. We have the content nuke from Ethan Klein. We also have
Content
Jenks'
nuke,
nephew and
yeah,
his orbiters.
Sucked. The content nuke was basically this long video about how Hassan loved the Houthis, and he interviewed a Houthi who turned out to not even be a Houthi. He was just some Yemeni kid that was like sympathetic to the Houthis because he saw them as like heroes because they were fighting against Israel and America, and they were like, that's based because America sucks. Yemeni people fucking hate us. They hate us, dude. We've been bombing them. We've been funding Saudi Arabia to bomb them. And we've recently just started doing it ourselves directly. So, it's probably only gotten worse. But anyway, it was debunked, okay? That whole video was fucking debunked. There was like nothing true about it. There was literally nothing true. Not even the shit about the Houthis. He was trying to say that, like, what was he trying to say? He was trying to say that, like, they, like, robbed some random ship. They just robbed some random ship that had nothing to do with Israel. It had nothing to even do with Israel. They had no way of knowing. No way of knowing. They're dumb, stupid Yemeni people. They don't know nothing. And it's just like all this shit, and it's like, oh, it was, like, owned by an Israeli person. It was, and they've, like, hijacked multiple other ships. Attack them with drones. It's just,
encouraging people to call
none
in
of it
false
was true.
CPS
None of the
complaints
shit
to
he was
Ethan
saying
Klein,
was true.
sending him human skulls, which is obviously a death threat, and all these different various ways that they targeted Ethan, his wife, and his family, issued them death threats, and all the problems that has caused in Ethan's life, again, based on what is 5% disagreement. And remember, Ethan and Jenks' nephew did a debate after much of this, where they discussed their issues, and Ethan conceded to a bunch of things that he should have never conceded to in that debate,
Like what?
because his issue wasn't about being pro-Zionist or anything of the sort. It was about Jenks' nephew encouraging all of this harassment towards him, and all of his orbiters constantly lying about him.
And every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like Wife that participate in these raids. The violence that the Palestinians engage in an act of resistance against this illegal occupying force is literally legal, definitionally legal. Okay? It's just the truth.
Now, with me touching on all of that background, when you see a clip of Jenks' nephew talking about how it's okay to violently resist and or kill the occupying force in the West Bank, even if the person who participated in that, by the way, is past tense, is your favorite podcaster's wife, you understand what Jenks' nephew is doing. And by the way, this is also a part of a long pattern of behavior from Jenks' nephew. This is a guy who quote tweeted Senator Tom Cotton once when he disagreed with him with a blueprint of the gun that was used to kill the Japanese prime minister. This is somebody who also encouraged people to kill Senator Rick Scott. So again, this is something that he always does where he does.
Yeah, he did not encourage people to kill Rick Scott, okay? I'm not gonna keep talking about this shit. And anyway, the Japanese gun thing, that was the thing meme, I believe is what it's called. The thingy. Wait. The thing that killed Shinzo Abe. Yeah. This shit is just funny, dude. Look at it. Yeah, this is a thing. Yeah, I believe that it's a meme because they didn't call it a gun. Like it's obviously a fucking homemade fucking gun that this person crafted. It's crazy. 41-year-old Japanese man assassinated the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, during a public speech with a homemade gun. On the same day, a photograph of the home-crafted gun appeared on multiple news reports about the assassination. An infographic. They posted an infographic. It was Japanese news website Mainichi. In the days following the news of the assassination, earliest means to the government posted online, for example, X-Count workshop submission closely resembled. Wait, what gun is that? The quad-off shotgun. Yeah, I see it. I see it. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. I love Know Your Meme. Know Your Meme is so fucking funny, dude. It's like Wikipedia.
His death threats, encourages violence, supports terrorism, and then when he gets called out, he says he was taken out of context.
And that shit was based. That shit was based, okay? I don't care. I don't care. Look, he was the Japanese prime minister. I don't fucking care about that. Like, I don't know. It sucks. Like, he was a guy. He got shot. It's real sad, okay? But, like, look, guys, it's also, like, if you read about it, if you actually read about Shinzo Abe and who his father was and what he did in collaboration with the CIA, you kind of start to understand what this assassin knew and understood and why that led him to kill Shinzo Abe. And again, like I don't really condone it. I don't say that it was right, but it is a really weird story and also really fucking funny, and also yet another reason that we are a Christian nationalist white supremacist nation.
And he tries to give a longer explanation that ends up providing him cover. Now,
I'm not gonna. I've already talked about it before.
Because
I'm
this
not
is a
gonna go
consistent
over it
pattern
again.
among these absolute freaks and weirdos to target not just him, but members of his family, including his wife. And Ethan responded in a very sensible, logical way.
This is his playbook. Never apologize. Always double down. Always accuse your accusers of being hallucinating, crazy, etc. This is exactly his playbook. Since Hassan and many of his friends have employed this violent rhetoric against me and my family, me and Hila rarely leave our houses or make public appearances because of the constant and overwhelming sense of danger. The last 2 years, we've spent more time inside than ever before. And we stopped doing our biannual live shows, right, for over a year because of the fear of violence being enacted not just on us, but on our fans and our crew. This, by the way, is resulting in the crew directly losing money as these live shows.
Look, everybody gets death threats, man. Hassan gets death threats. He does.
It's now been shut off out of
He
fear.
has to.
We've been forced to hire a full-time guard at the office because everyone in the office was feeling unsafe. And me and Hila are both waiting for our concealed carry license so that we can finally feel safe in public again, which is not easy to get in California, and it's going to take like over a year probably. And I usually choose not to talk about this stuff because the provocateurs who will revel in it, because this is their goal, right? They want me to be.
Just move to another state, bro. Just move to another state. I live in Alabama. You don't even need a concealed carry license here, but if you get one, every other state will honor it, pretty much. Not every other state. They don't all fucking do it. But all the ones that are important. Anyway.
They want me to be in my house. They want me to avoid doing public events. They want me to cower. So this is very much giving them what they want. However, in this moment, I do feel the entire context of how language like this affects me and my family and my crew and everybody around me. Twitch has served as the most prolific source of leftist radicalization, terrorist propaganda, and anti-West sentiment.
Now look, nothing Ethan said right there is wrong. Ethan is 100% right to be concerned about this. Again, this has impacted him in his day-to-day lives. These people are so unhinged that they called CPS on him, sent him human skulls. Again, run down the list of the long train of abuses against Ethan Klein by these individuals, and of course the consequences of them pushing this idea that Ethan Klein is a giant genocide endorser or anything of the sort, when he said multiple times in clear, undeniable terms the exact opposite. And
he is an endorser, and he is arguably an endorser. I think he is, okay? He is definitely a sympathizer, though. Like, he has certainly done, like, Israeli sympathy type of messaging. Okay, I don't know how else to explain it.
By the way, a lot of
like,
people have sent me tweets from Anna Kasparian where she's doubling up on the narrative that Ethan is pro-genocide because Ethan Klein decided to attack Anna Kasparian, and I need to make something 100% clear to everybody out there in the audience. I don't have any loyalty to Ethan Klein. I don't know Ethan Klein. I've never spoken to Ethan Klein. I'm not a fan of Ethan Klein or anything of the sort, and I actually think it was dumb of Ethan Klein to pick a fight with Anna Kasparian based on whatever the hell he decided to pick a fight with her on. Again, I'm not really on Instagram, so I'm not really following the Instagram stories and whatnot, so in that respect, I do think it's perfectly fine for Anna Kasparian to attack Ethan Klein back. That being said, Anna should know better than to repeat the lies being told by Jenks' nephew and all these different people that are encouraging death threats and all these problems that Ethan is dealing with. He is 100% not pro-genocide or Zionist. Anna writes that in her tweet, and again, while I don't care about the foul language at the end of the tweet or anything else that she said, the fact that this was included in there is genuinely disappointing, and honestly, it's shameful. There's no doubt.
He is pro-genocide. There was a guy that called Palestinians human animal. No, he said, I believe he said human animals. I believe it was human animals. He said, we are fighting human animals. Ela Klein said, and Ethan, sitting next to her, also agreed. He was a great guy. He's a great guy. They fired him because he was too openly pro-Hitler. Okay, I'm not kidding. I'm not, like, literally pro-Hitler. Like, he kept quoting Hitler and shit. And he's like the fucking top military guy. He's, like, at the top of the IDF, you know? Like, I can't remember his position. But Netanyahu had to fire him because he literally could not stop openly supporting Adolf Hitler. And Ela Klein said, great guy. He's a great guy. I can't believe they fired him. I can't believe it.
About that.
And she later redacted that. But anyway, that's what this guy is talking about. I'm pretty sure.
It's that in her tweet. And again, while I don't care about the foul language,
yeah, like that guy is the most unhinged genocidal freak in all of Israel. Probably. Maybe not the most. But he certainly had a lot of power when he worked in the government shortly, not too long ago. We're talking about 2 years ago. Not even.
At the end of the tweet or anything else that you said, the fact that this was included in there is genuinely disappointing, and honestly, it's shameful. There's no doubt about that. I talked a lot on this.
Ethan Klein is not a genocide supporter. You don't even think a genocide is happening, man. Probably, like 99% chance. I actually haven't heard this guy talk about this issue, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
I think are rather positive. It's not that I didn't know that Anna was anti-Israeli. Again, the Young Turks have dedicated basically half of their shows over the last 2 years to this particular topic. But this right here, she should know is not true, and she should not be tweeting it. And the fact that she's aligning herself in this attack on Ethan in this exact way with all the same people, including Jenks' nephew, who basically knifed her in the back when she started to say reasonable things about crime, is absurd, is insane. Again, you want to fight it out with Ethan, feel free. I'm not his keeper, I'm not his protector, but don't participate in the lies. So yeah, people have been sending me those tweets asking me to comment. That's my comment. 100% condemnation to perpetuating the lies that, again, are leading to the harassment of Ethan in real life and the death threats that he's receiving. And by the way, Anna has also talked about how she's been receiving death threats from pro-Israel people, wildly inappropriate as well. I don't know why I gotta be the arbiter of the obvious, but yeah, this stuff should be obvious. Now, of course, Jenks' nephew decided that he was gonna do the thing that he always does, where he tries to retreat from the radical thing that we all understand he was doing, which was calling for and endorsing violence against Ethan Klein's wife in order to stir up fear amongst Ethan and his camp by basically doing it again, but at the same time blaming the United Nations for this.
Podcaster's wife has gotten a lot of attention because Ela previously served in the IDF. And this also has a...
Well, no. She didn't just previously serve in the IDF. She participated in an illegal raid in the West Bank as a part of her service.
Yeah, it's not... Yeah, that's important. Like, it's true that a lot of people in the IDF don't ever actually see any action because they are doing, like, desk jobs. They are doing, like, pencil-pushing work. Now, at the end of the day, I think that, like, if any of these people were asked to, perform a more militant role, like participate in an operation, a lot of them would probably do it. But anyway, Ela went out of her way to participate in this night raid. These night raids are illegal, they are morally abhorrent, they are wrong. The way it works, again, I've already explained this, but I'm gonna say it again, okay? The way it works is they go on a night raid, they break into a family's home, they get the women on one side and the men on the other side, and then they ransack the place. Okay, men on one wall, women on another wall, ransack. Same thing, every time. Leave. Okay, if they find something, maybe they make an arrest or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, they do this. They pick these homes randomly. They pick random Palestinian homes to do one of these operations on, and they'll do a couple of them every night. And that's it. And anyway, that is terrorism. That is terrorism if I have ever seen it.
In the Israeli
If I've
occupying force.
ever read about
not only
terrorism,
is
that
what I'm
is
saying
definitely fucking terrorism.
Not like a gray area or anything. It's just
What do you
international
define
law,
as terrorism
right?
if that's not
Ethan
it?
Klein himself has on
Hassan
numerous
is the
occasions
terrorist
agreed
here?
with that
Are you
sentiment.
fucking
He
serious?
has actually presented it in his context.
He's
here,
making the
talking about his
terrorism
bona
argument
fides
here?
for how much he
How?
is an advocate, a stalwart ally of the Palestinians, as he said. Ethan Klein has said West Bank settlers are valid military targets. Ethan Klein has admitted that his wife is a terrorist on stream.
By the way, this is one of the reasons why Jenks' nephew is pure scum through and through, because for a guy who says that every clip that actually shows who he actually is, that's not out of context, is somehow out of context as his defense when he says something awful, what he just did right there is take Ethan Klein out of context, because when this conversation happened...
No, it's not out of context. It's not out of context because Ethan Klein said that the IDF is a terrorist organization, because it is. Because it obviously is. And then we also know, and we know that Ethan knows, and we know that Ethan knows that we know, that his wife was in the IDF and, in fact, participated in an operation, a night raid, which means that Ethan Klein acknowledges that his wife is a former terrorist.
Between him and Jenks' nephew, which, by the way, will be linked in full in the description of this video. Jenks' nephew asks Ethan if he thinks his
She
wife's a
is.
terrorist, and he unequivocally says no.
Okay.
And she's a terrible
was in the
person,
IDF.
but that's not the only reason that
Do you
she's
believe your wife is a
terrible
terrorist?
person.
Of course not.
Then for about 30 more minutes, Jenks' nephew
course
keeps
not.
attacking him on his wife over and over and over again, and Ethan, who says that he wants to move on to a different topic because obviously this is a way...
Wait, look, they're debating, okay? Look, play where he's attacking him about his wife. Play it. He's not going to play it, okay? And I'll tell you why. Because Hassan says the same thing that I just got done explaining, which is that you said that your wife was in the IDF. She said it multiple times. You've asked her questions about it. You interviewed her about it. And then you said that the IDF is a terrorist organization. That's what it is. So therefore, you are agreeing that your wife is a terrorist or a former terrorist. You should acknowledge it.
to obfuscate the point of their conversation, which is, of course, Jenks'
That's it.
nephew's blatant support for actual terrorist organizations. Ethan, as a way to move on, is like, yeah, sure, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, let's move on to the next topic.
Don't even know what the you're referring to. You're just calling my wife a terrorist. Like, well, give me a break, dude.
No.
She did mandatory.
She has talked
Let me
on
ask
your
you a question.
podcast.
Hassan,
She's talked
please,
on your
you gotta
podcast
let me
about
talk.
how she went on a raid.
You have
She
to
was
let me
bored. She
talk.
had a
The fact
secondary
that you're
job.
just
It's
talking
mandatory
over me
conscription. It
and
was an
being louder
adventure
does
for
not
her.
mean you're right. I promise.
What?
Being louder and talking more does not mean you're right. Okay, it's good
volunteered.
to listen to what I have to say. She's part
Okay.
of
Is it a
mandatory
lie?
conscription.
Did Hila
You're-
not volunteer? Did Hila not volunteer to go to the West Bank on a raid because she was bored? In Ramallah.
Yeah, she's 18. It's understandable. We don't
Okay.
know what that guy did, though. We don't know what the
Oh, so
raid
he
was
could have
for.
been he could have been a
What if he
vicious
killed
terrorist
people?
monster. is
Yeah,
what
what
you're
if he
saying.
killed people? Of course. If he killed people, of course he would be
Ethan,
worthy of being arrested.
Ethan, is Ramallah a part of Israeli territory?
I mean, it's complicated, right? It's under occupation. No, I don't think so, but it's under occupation, right?
Okay, so why was your wife in Ramallah?
Maybe or getting a terrorist that killed civilians. She sat in a car.
It's not complicated.
She sat in a
Ethan.
car
It's
and
not
didn't even
complicated
leave
at
it.
all.
And never did it again.
Your wife participated in an illegal raid according to international human rights. That is the reality. Now,
Are you
I
upset if this
understand
person
the
killed
importance
like
of
a
social
child?
conditioning.
Would you be upset if this person they arrested like stabbed people? Like you don't know what you're talking
If
about.
she were to talk about
Okay,
how
fine. My
fucked
wife's a
up that
terrorist,
was-
bro. What the? It's so boring.
No, stop. Listen to my words.
No,
If
she's-
she
my
were to
wife
talk
is a
about how
terrorist.
fucked up that
Very
is,
good.
as many-
So Jenks' nephew, the scumbag that he actually is, the absolute liar that he actually is, decides that he's going to
What
rip
did-
this
what
from the
lie?
context of
What
how
was
it
the
was
lie?
said, and then claim that Ethan earnestly
What?
said that his own wife
Okay,
was a
let's hear it.
terrorist.
Let's hear
Again,
the
for a guy
context.
who constantly cries and says that he's being taken out of context when he absolutely is not being taken out of context, this is just disgusting, but what we can expect from Jenks' nephew.
Were you saying if your favorite podcast wife was in Israel performing illegal war crimes that they would be illegal target? That's how I understood it. No, I'm saying in the process of anyone at all.
This
It could be
isn't the
your
clip.
mom, your dad, your favorite podcaster, anyone that engages. Okay, because the conversation that I was having was more so about the way that people look at those who adorn the garb, like state violence versus non-state actors, right? Versus any kind of resistance against state violence. And what I was trying to do there was to say it doesn't matter who it is that puts on the Israeli occupying force gear and participates in an illegal raid in the West Bank. They are, if they receive violence in retaliation from the occupied force, that is legal. That is a legal act of resistance.
Now look guys, it is not hard, it is not difficult in any way, shape, or form to not talk about before your audience all these different various scenarios where it would be okay to kill your political opponent.
I don't even think that that was the clip that they were talking about, man. I don't think it was. Like walk me through this again. Let's go.
From Jank's nephew.
Were you saying if your favorite
What I have to say. She's part of
Is it
mandatory
a lie?
conscription.
Did Hila not volunteer? Did Hila not volunteer to go to the West Bank on a raid because she was bored?
She admitted
In Ramallah.
to.
Yeah, she's 18. It's understandable. We don't know what that guy did, though. We don't know what the
Oh, so
raid was for.
he could have been a
What if
vicious
he killed
terrorist
people?
monster. is what
Yeah,
you're
what if he
saying.
killed people? Of course. If he killed people, of course he would be
Ethan,
worthy of being arrested.
Ethan, is Ramallah a part of Israeli territory?
I mean, it's complicated, right? It's under occupation. No, I don't think so, but it's under occupation, right?
Okay, so why was your wife in Ramallah?
Maybe are getting a terrorist that killed civilians. She sat in a car.
It's not complicated.
She sat in a
Ethan.
car
It's
and
not
didn't even
complicated
leave
at
it
all.
and never did it again.
Your wife participated in an illegal raid according to international human rights. That is the reality. Now,
Are you upset if this person killed like a child? Would you be upset if this person there arrested like stabbed people? Like you don't know what you're talking about.
If she were to talk about
Okay,
how
fine. My
fucked
wife's a
up that
terrorist,
was-
bro. What the? It's so boring.
No, stop. Listen to my words.
No,
If she
my
were to
wife is
talk
a
about how
terrorist.
fucked up that
Very
is,
good.
as many-
So Jank's nephew, the scumbag that he actually is, the absolute liar that he actually is, decides that he's going to rip this from the context of how it was said and then claim that Ethan earnestly said that his own wife was a terrorist. Again, for a guy who constantly cries and says that he's being taken out of context when he absolutely is not being taken out of context, this is just disgusting.
Yeah, so then I figured he was going to play a clip of him explaining how she is a terrorist.
Anyone that engages, okay, because the conversation I was
instead he
having was
played
more
this
so
clip.
about the way that people look at those who adorn the garb, like state violence versus non-state actors, right?
Was in the IDF something like 20 years ago. Jank's nephew's talking about how the UN ruled that this was an illegal occupation, and if you have issues
It wasn't 20 years ago. It was like 16 years ago or something, I want to say. It was close to 20 years ago, okay? I want to say it was like 2009. Maybe maybe it was earlier actually. Maybe it was like 2006.
with what he said related to the occupation and resistance to the occupation, you should take it up with the United Nations. And again, this sounds like, I guess it's solid to people who honestly are snickering and laughing at the idea of somebody going out and attacking Ethan Klein and his family because they're absolute scumbags. But honestly, the efficacy of that UN resolution is a side tangent that's not really relevant to this conversation. The point I'm trying to make is that Jank's nephew is deliberately going out of his way to stoke up anger, hatred, and of course, maybe somebody will take action based on that anger and hatred against Ethan and his wife because he doesn't like that he is personally being criticized.
I have also specified that IDF veterans are not valid.
So why did you bring it up?
Why did you bring me up?
You know, like he's like, no, no, she's not a valid target. She's not been in the army, and this happened 20 years ago. Why'd you bring it up?
And why do you bring me
Well,
up
terror tar-
regularly as a terrorist?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that regularly?
Yeah.
Jank's nephew was never talking about Ela Klein in the past on that particular raid, which, by the way, again, as she said time and time again, she was sitting in the car because she was invited out as a secretary at the IDF, and she never actually went into the building or did anything in participation of that.
Destiny has nothing to do with what Hassan did to me. I don't know anything about what Destiny did. This is not a three-way
I didn't
situation.
even know anything about this. Apparently, Destiny, in response to Hassan's essentially calling Ela a valid military target, I guess Destiny, who's a total dumbass, who again we had like a flawless victory here, and this dumbass went there and gave Hassan the ability to cry and be the victim,
Right.
which he did. Now he's been on his Instagram stories being like, "Oh my God, I'm getting death threats, you guys.
Yeah.
What do we get? This is unbelievable. We need to do something about it." It's like, "Oh, you don't like it when people give death threats to you?"
Pathetic.
That's really interesting, dude. But because of Destiny's dumb ass, he went on Discord and he said something like, "Somebody should kill Hassan Piker," just something brazenly insane. For the record,
which
I
is
don't believe anybody should do violence on his
stupid and crazy, and we would never say anything like that. And I have nothing to do with what Destiny says.
Yeah. Well, apparently he's my closest collaborator, if you ask. He's hiding under the desk.
No,
If
but
Destiny
it's
was my
like-
roommate,
It's like, yeah.
Hold on. Hassan has something to say.
Oh,
if Destiny was my roommate, I get him late all the time.
right, because you're a bro.
Now that's closeness.
Now, by the way, there's another wrinkle in this particular story that honestly I feel like is a bit ridiculous to be mentioned along with this, and that is some logs from Destiny, another streamer, where he's allegedly saying that based on what Jank's nephew is saying about Ela Klein, it would be justified to argue for him to be killed, which honestly is just another stupid spiraling effect of this kind of rhetoric being permeated by all these different various streamers. Obviously, it's not acceptable to harm anybody involved in any of the stories that I'm talking about. It is ridiculous, it's reprehensible that these streamers always seem to go there, but let us be perfectly honest, what's actually happening is that Jank's nephew said something outrageous, Destiny responded in a hyperbolic way, and now Jank's nephew is acting like out of nowhere, Destiny is targeting him, and he's trying to get Destiny deplatformed from YouTube as a consequence of that, which again would hold a little bit more water if 8 minutes prior to these Destiny logs, Jank's nephew wasn't actively stoking up violent sentiment against somebody that he disagreed with politically. Again, all of these people are freaks. All of these people are disgusting, reprehensible. They all like to play this game where they stir up violent rhetoric, and it has real consequences. They're all hypocrites, and I've had enough of this nonsense. The only one that I've mentioned throughout the course of this video that doesn't do this sort of thing is Ethan Klein, as far as I know, as of right now, but who the hell knows? Maybe this guy is off the wagon, and we'll see something similar in the future. Guys, it's not that difficult to figure out what Jank's nephew is doing, what he's trying to do, because he's being blatant and obvious about it. The simplest answer oftentimes is the correct answer, and in this particular case, that holds 100% true. He wants people to stoke up fear, threaten violence against Ethan, because he's trying to intimidate him, because he doesn't like Ethan criticizing him. And by the way, one of the funniest clips that I've seen—
what? Do evidence? Like, what? At least, like, play a clip. Like, if you're gonna try to say he's saying these things, like play another clip. Play anything. Anything. My God.
Recently,
how
was
do you
Jank's
talk
nephew possibly
this
implying
much
that he
about
might sue Ethan Klein for
this
defamation?
little
This standard was
content?
evenly applied. Don't you think that spending the last year calling me a dangerous Hamas mouthpiece, a Hamas terrorist, actively demanding that people take action against me?
Now, to be clear, while Jank's nephew is claiming that Ethan is encouraging people to take action against him due to his terrorist support, the action
He has literally done that.
that he's referring to is not violence, which is what Jank's nephew is actively encouraging against Ethan Klein and his family, as well as his orbiters, who are doing the same exact thing. He's talking about Ethan Klein saying, contact Twitch. Twitch should do something about his open terrorist support. So he's equivocating him calling for violence, him discussing all these scenarios where you can kill
Yeah,
Ethan.
he's organizing mass email campaigns to, like, pull advertisers off of
Ethan
Twitch
saying,
in an
yeah,
effort to
the
get him
Twitch
banned.
platform allowing this is crazy. Which, by the way, Jank's nephew actively trying to
No,
get Destiny deplatformed from
the shit
YouTube
he's doing
because
is
he's
crazy.
saying that Destiny's
What?
saying crazy things. So again, no leg to stand on.
Destiny is always saying
Would
crazy
put you
things.
directly in harm's way for legal repercussions?
Fucking dumbass. He's been diddling
You spent
children
the past
and
22
lying
months of
about it.
genocide, actively making a villain out of anyone and everyone, firing off hundreds of Instagram stories, so much so that you couldn't even imagine yourself. You couldn't believe the amount of Instagram stories you posted before this debate. You thought it was a lie when I brought up the receipts. You couldn't believe it. And then you turned around and fired off 10 plus stories every day. To this day. It's ridiculous. What do you think? Spreading misinformation about me, constantly clipping me out of context, regularly demanding that, like, people take action against me at a time when the government is taking action against me. What do you think you're doing? You know exactly what the you're doing, okay? The notion that, like, I was invoking your wife that you also openly recognize participated in an illegal raid in the West Bank as a part of the occupying forces that did a war crime for any reason other than the fact that she did do that is ridiculous, okay?
For all the times that Ethan Klein called him a terrorist supporter, and while Ethan Klein can beat a defamation suit easily from Jank's nephew with a slap defense, in my opinion, he should actually go for the defense of truth, because in reality, Ethan Klein has told no lies about Jank's nephew's blatant, open support of terrorist organizations. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts on the latest goings on between Ethan and Jank's nephew. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show by leaving a like, subscribe.
God, dude, you're so fucking stinky, bro.